Good afternoon, friends. I'm Danielle Kuznetsov, and I'm here again with Dr. Nadia Garieva, the chief doctor at the Lymphatic Clinic in Perm, Russia, a clinic she founded to get to the root causes of disease. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So we are back today. This is our third session together, I think. Last week, we met and we talked about nasal congestion, which you said was a symptom of chronic inflammation. You said that it can lead to obesity, snoring, headaches, chronic cough, bronchial asthma. And we also talked about my tonsils. You said under no circumstances are tonsils to be removed unless there's a tumor, because in removing the tonsils, we weaken our immune system. And we don't find out about that until 10, 15, or 20 years later. So we should always seek the reasons behind the nasal congestion, and which you said were viral, bacterial, or fungal. Did I get that correct from last week?
Yeah.
Good. Perfect. I want you to know I shared that with my daughter. I've shared that with all of my friends. I've had some friends come over because I'm in the United States right now, and I was like, you gotta listen to this. And they were like, we didn't know that. So I think this is great information for people in general, but especially for the women that I do a lot of my volunteer work around the world. So I'm really excited for today's session with you, Dr. Nadia, because we are going to connect the dots for us today. And we're going to start to be able to put together the pieces of the lymphatic system so that we can understand, laymen like me, we can understand exactly how it works, what it does, and what we need to be on the lookout for. So thank you so much. I know you've had a busy week, you've been traveling, so I'm really grateful that you're here with me.
Hello, Danielle again. I came back from Moscow now, and I am ready to speak with you about a very important topic, I'm sure, about lymphatic system. Let's start with the origin. It is very interesting history. The lymphatic system became the subject of research in 1622 when Gaspar Azelli, an Italian chemist, visualized the lymphatic vessels and described them as gluteal vessels because they contain milky colored liquid.
Liquids. Mm-hmm.
Liquid. It is because the dog they operated, it was an experiment, was fed so the lipids from the food were drained by the lymphatic system and colored lymph. This food colored lymph because lymph is pure.
So it's clear.
Yeah, lymph is clear.
Clear. Okay, so lymph is clear.
Very clear
Okay.
liquid. And when Gaspar Azellet saw the white, unusual vessels, he cried, Eureka!
Eureka.
Eureka.
He cried Eureka. Okay. And so why did he cry Eureka? Because what did he understand?
He understood that he discovered a new system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is
So
history.
he discovered this lymphatic system. Okay. Perfect.
It is history.
Okay. So what does the lymphatic system do then? Obviously, if the lymphatic system is clear, and then it was milky when he saw it, it must absorb. What does it absorb from our bodies?
You see, it is the lymphatic system that absorbs lipids from the intestine. Obviously, the lymphatic system drains not only the intestine, but every organ and every cell in our body. Apart from the during these 4 centuries, it was understood the lymphatic system performs several other functions and consists of several parts.
Okay, so the last 400 years has been very important in the study of the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
So Dr. Nadia, when the doctor touches over here on the sides of us, right, and they feel that the lymph node is big, what does that mean?
Lymph nodes as usually enlarge from the infections.
Okay.
Bacterial, viral, fungi, for example, because infections damage lymph nodes and their main organs, and they damage the fast.
Okay. So the lymph nodes actually are the sign that something's going on in the body.
Yeah, it's a sign.
Okay.
It's indicator of damage.
It's an indicator. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much for re-explaining when I have questions, just to make sure that I understand. And I really want our viewers to understand too, so that we put the pieces slowly together for them. So thank you very much.
Thank you for question.
So now you're gonna show me a few pictures, right?
Yeah.
So that I can actually see what we're talking about, which would be great. Okay.
I'd like to show some pictures about lymphatic system, about the role lymphatic system.
Perfect. Okay, that sounds good.
By the way, this is a view on our river Kama Pem in summer. Isn't it beautiful?
It's lovely. Perm is probably one of the most pretty cities I've ever been in. So I have not been there in a while, and I'm looking forward to returning.
Next slide. So as you see, the lymphatic system covers the whole of your body. It is internal organs, it is in the limbs. By the way, the lymphatic system is in the brain too. You can see. The lymphatic system unites many organs that take part in immune response, like thymus, tonsils, lymph nodes, spleen, etc. And unfortunately, many people learn about the lymphatic system only when they get cancer, as cancer spreads mostly through the lymphatic system. For instance, the tumor in the breast can spread to the lymph nodes in the axillary space. Let's have an overview of how the lymphatic system works. I have a simple animation here that illustrates how the lymphatic system functions.
The lymphatic capillaries absorb toxins, microorganisms, proteins, and even cancer cells. Then the lymph goes through the lymphatic vessels to the lymphatic nodes. The lymphatic nodes act as small factories, eliminating the wastes and releasing then the pure lymph, which goes through the main gateway called thoracic duct back to the bloodstream. Thus, originating from the tissue level, the level between the cells, the lymphatic system provides drainage, detoxification, and immune surveillance. This is the reason why diseases do not go away on time if the lymphatic system doesn't work properly.
I have never really taken into account that the lymphatic system is so vital in how we live our life and how we function as a whole. I'm a little overwhelmed by that right now, because you're saying that the lymphatic system plays a role in all disease.
Lymphatic system plays a very critical role in any disease, as lymphatic determines how long any disease is going to last. And this is because lymphatic must remain healthy.
Dr. Nadia, I just have one question. Excuse me. You're saying that the lymphatic determines how long our diseases last?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It determines how long the disease is to last.
Okay.
And,
that's like good and bad news. I mean,
good and bad news.
It's good news because you know that the lymphatic system determines how long our sicknesses last, and it's bad news because the lymphatic system determines how long our sicknesses last. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you again. I'm getting a little excited about the information.
Yeah, I understand. I understand this information is very exciting for you. I see. I understand. Not for you, not just for you. For medical doctors. For medical doctors is new information as usually. It is the reason of bad treatment of our body. Because it's unknowledge. And continue. Let's
Oh,
continue.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
And to my regret, most specialists, when speaking about lymphatic system problems, refer only to lymphedema. It is when swelling in the legs or arm occur, or lymphoma when cancer is in the lymphatic nodes. In other words, when the lymphatic system is severely damaged, but even a small decrease in its function with the visual evidence can decrease performance of every cell. So, you can see this real picture of the lymphatic network, and you can see how thick are the lymphatic vessels in comparison with the blood vessels. And blood vessels are more black vessels because
okay.
special scientific method of visualization blood vessels and lymphatic vessels all together.
Okay.
Lymphatic vessels are more light.
What's that?
And here is a large picture where you can see the lymphatic vessels consist of small pumps pushing the lymph to the lymphatic nodes. And this scientific picture too. It is my research work.
Oh, okay. Oh, from your research work. Okay.
Danielle, could you understand this picture, or we can repeat this picture?
No, I understand the picture in theory. My mind is just trying to wrap itself around how complicated our bodies are in a good way. We're very complex as human beings, and we just, as we live our lives, I don't think we think about that at all. I don't think about that, and I certainly don't think about like the difference between the blood vessels, the lymphatics, the lymphatic vessels, and how the lymphatic has a pump to push, the lymph through it. I just am amazed by the detail that's in our bodies. That's all. I'm just amazed by that. So I understand the pictures. I definitely understand what you're saying. I just am amazed by how complex we are.
Here's a drawing of the lymphatic node. So the lymph with the metabolic waste come from here, where the orange arrows are, from the cells. Here is in the purple color structure. It is being cleaned. Some biochemical reactions take place here, and most of the clean lymph goes out from where the green arrows are. You can see.
Okay, that's quite a process.
So through it is process. So here we studied three main parts: lymphatic capillaries, and lymphatic vessels, and lymphatic nodes. So the lymphatic system consists of three main parts.
Okay, the capillaries, the vessels, and the nodes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So is there any place that you can't find the lymphatic nodes in the body?
Well, there are no lymphatic nodes in the toes, for example, but there are some behind your knees, popliteal lymph nodes, and the lymphatic network of the toes is linked to these lymphatic nodes. That's why If you have your lower leg damaged and lymphatic system is compromised, you can develop swelling in the foot.
Okay, so are there lymphatic nodes in our hands and our fingers or no?
Yeah, our fingers, there are no lymphatic nodes too. But
Oh, okay.
every tissue drained by the lymphatic system, and lymphatic network linked our toes, our fingers with lymph nodes.
One other quick question. So you were talking about the toes, and so if there's damage in the lower leg, then there's swelling in the foot. Why does the foot swell? Why is there swelling?
When the lymphatic system is damaged and lymphatic capillaries don't drain the liquid from tissue, and we have a swelling.
Okay. Because it's infection, right? And the lymphatic system is what cleans our bodies from infection. Okay, that makes sense. So there's no lymphatic nodes in the toes or in the fingers, but what about our nose? Because we talked about congestion last week. So do we have lymphatic system in our nose?
Our nose itself doesn't have the lymphatic nodes, but you have them here and here on yourself. And the lymph containing the waste from the nose goes to these mandibular lymph nodes. All in all, as for the nasal congestion or sore throat, lymphatic system doesn't
does the following.
Does the following. All in all, as for the nasal congestion or sore throat, lymphatic system does the following. First of all, it provides trafficking of immune cells to provide immune response if there is an infection. Secondly, it cleans out the waste that are left behind after the fight between the immune system and the infection. And thirdly, lymphatic nodes are responsible for elimination of bacteria. This is why they fill your lymphatic nodes when you get a cold, because the doctor needs to understand if there is an infection inside. In this case, they are usually enlarged.
Okay. So I'm going to wrap. I want to make sure I understand, first of all. So the first thing it does is it moves, the lymphatic system will move the immune cells to provide the protection when we have an infection. Then it cleans out the garbage, gets all the garbage out of there that's left behind after our bodies have fought, right? And it eliminates the bacteria. So those are the three things that it does. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So before I continue, because I have another question, I just want to thank you, Dr. Nadia, for using your English the way you do, because it's a real gift to have to actually talk to a doctor that can speak in multiple languages. It's not typical for all of us to be able to have that opportunity. So I just want to assure you that your English is super, and I understand everything that you say. And when I repeat, I'm doing it so that I understand the context. I understand how what we're talking about actually works. I'm not doing it to correct your English at all. So I just want you to know that we're good on the English. It's me who's not good on what we're talking about. So I want to make sure that I'm understanding. And that's why, so don't worry about it when I ask questions over and over. It's really just for a non-medical person to understand the topic matter, because we don't know and we're not educated. When we go to the doctor doesn't educate us. The doctor doesn't say, listen, this is how it works in your body and this is how it's connected. And so This is why I think these videos are so valuable, because that's a missing piece for people. So going back to our prior conversations, we talked again about the lymphatic system and nasal congestion last week. But you mentioned something about connections between the nose and the brain and the nose and the lungs. And so I'm assuming that there's a connection between the lymphatic system, and there is, and the nose and the brain and the lungs. Can you tell me about that, please?
Okay, let's scale up the lymphatic system to the region of the neck, and I have it here. So here are three segments of lymphatic system: neck, head, and lungs. Here in green are the lymphatic vessels, the lines here, and lymphatic nodes, the green spots here. And we have just seen that most of the lymph cleaned in lymphatic nodes go to the bloodstream through the thoracic duct. It is like a gateway. So lymphatic vessels are the road network ultimately merging into the highway. And the lymphatic road from the brain goes through the same highway as the lymph from the region of your nose and throat.
Okay.
So, if this region is constantly bombarded by the infection and inflamed, the traffic here is very busy. The lymph flow from the brain is decreased. Hence, there is an extra amount of fluid gathered in the brain, causing an increase of intracranial pressure.
What does that mean? So you have more fluid that gathers on the brain, and so do people get headaches from that? What happens?
Intracranial pressure is when more fluid in the brain. This is very often reason behind headaches and hormonal dysregulation. This is where obesity, sexual problems come from.
Okay, we're going to talk about those, right? Obesity and sexual problems. We'll eventually talk about those too, and how they're connected to the lymphatic system. Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
Obesity.
I'd really love to talk about those too.
Obesity and infection has a direct link each other.
Okay, and I've come to the right place. So let's go back then and make sure that I think I've understood everything. We've got this super highway in our body that takes that the lymph system uses the vessels, and the nodes are there, and all of that fluid travels through everything and is cleaned, right? That's the highway that keeps us clean in our nose and throat and our brain. And if something's not working right, then the brain retains fluid, and that causes headaches, hormonal dysregulation, and then eventually there's issues with obesity and sexual problems too. So, okay. And how are the tonsils related to that? So I keep going back for our viewers. I keep going back because Dr. Nadia just drips little pieces of information as we go. And as you know, we're learning as we go here, right? We're trying to take this science and extract it and put it out there for your benefit. So, Dr. Nadia, why are my tonsils important here?
Tonsils separate infection from going further. So if there are no tonsils, the next destination of infection is going to be thymus, another important part of the immune system, thyroid gland, brain itself, and of course the lungs. And we see lymphatic nodes are the training center for the immune cells, and if they are constantly busy fighting infection without any outer help, the immune system can finally go mad and become over-aggressive. Immune system become over-aggressive.
Okay. Dr. Nadia, you said that the lymphatic nodes are the training center for the immune cells. Can you explain that for me?
You see, it is like a war where our immune system has both spies and fighters on the line. The spies identify the enemy and then take this information to the headquarters to pass it to the fighters. So a lymph node is the place where it all happens.
Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense. So what happens when that system is ruined and the immune system is working all the time? What happens in that war?
And when the immune system is working ahead time and it becomes over-aggressive against our organism.
So essentially, we turn the war on ourselves.
Yeah.
Instead of the war against the bacteria or the fungus
And
or
the
whatever.
system. Yeah.
And so then it actually turns on itself and fights itself.
Yes.
That's not good.
Right.
That's bad
Yes.
news. That's bad news for us.
For people, it's not good.
It's not good at all. Okay.
Yeah.
So what kinds of problems come out of that?
As usually, there are autoimmune problems for organism, for nerve system, for joints, for thyroid gland, for example.
Okay. So that's where the thyroid problems come from,
Yeah.
the joints, the autoimmune system, probably allergies too, right? Allergies have to be that same thing I thought I read. And asthma, of course, because that's connected with allergies sometimes. Okay. So then eventually I'm just trying to figure it out myself. Eventually then our system becomes oversensitive. In a sense, right? Too much.
Becomes oversensitive.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think I can understand that. Thank you, Dr. Nadia, for explaining it. Okay. So because we're educating our viewers not only on the lymphatic system, but on the reason you founded your clinic and you work with patients individually, what would you do? So now, hypothetically, I'm coming to you, my tonsils are removed, and so what's the first step that you take in helping people like me?
Mm-hmm. And we investigate medical history, first of all, and based on that we develop a custom diagnostic plan. After that, a treatment plan and recommendations to follow. The key idea is to eliminate the infection and get the immune system back on the right track.
Okay, so for our viewers, I just want to add in, so like Dr. Nadia is doing this video series with us to educate us on the lymphatic system because this is her life's work. This is her passion. She's put all of her eggs in this basket in terms of her medical degree, and this is how she helps people eradicate their diseases. And so she has a specific approach to her, I'd say, doctor-patient relationship that is atypical. She spends a lot of time with people talking, and she listens to all of the sides of their lives so that she can actually understand, the entry place. When did this start? How did this start? What's going on? So that it's not going to be another 20 years to figure out how to get good health. You can go to the root causes, deal with the root problems, and then you end up with health in a lot of areas in your life. I mean, we all know this from our psychology and, knowing how our mind works and how we're happy, and emotionally happy too. So it kind of works the same way in the body. The other thing is that as we're doing these videos, I just want you to know that, we're not like having 7 or 8 times to go through the script or to figure out how we're going to get all the information out there in a way. So when a person speaks in 2 different languages, their brain gets tired. And this is exhausting for Dr. Nadia because she's doing this after her full days of work, after her patients, after her traveling and speaking schedule. So she is a very much treasured professor and she speaks and she invests in the lives of students. So viewers, when we're watching this, if you see Dr. Nadia get a little bit tired in finding the right words to make sense for us, I just want you to give her the benefit of the doubt, because eventually we will develop a good working relationship together that like our dialect, everything will just flow really good. So we're going to wrap this up this time because we have the next one, which I want to talk about, Dr. Nadia, is how does all this work with being overweight? Now, granted, we're just touching the top surface of all of this, just to give our viewers an understanding of how important their lymphatic system is and how important it is in the regular, everyday, basic forms of health, right? Mouth breathing, that would never have come up as a medical topic for me before, right? So now I want to talk about weight. I have always been overweight. Always. When I say always, always, like 3 years old, 4 years old, 5. My brothers are overweight too. Now, I don't know if they watch this, they'll be like, why are you talking about that? But that's, our family was like that. So I would really love to know, I'm 51. Can this be changed?
Yeah.
Can it be changed?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So how does it work with being overweight?
It surely does, but the overweight issue can involve more than mouth breathing. So it can start with it. It can have 7 or 8 reasons. That's a good question to talk about next time, Danielle.
Okay. So viewers, just so you know, I am not a person who puts on a front. What you see is what you get. And so Dr. Nadia and I are meeting once a week to record these sessions, because otherwise, if we were to wait for perfection, we would be waiting for 10 years from now, because I am not perfect and I am not going to get anywhere near perfection in what I'm doing anytime soon, because I'm learning as I'm going. So we're going to meet every Thursday, and her team is going to work to get the videos up and edited so that they're interesting, they're short, and they spur you on to think. And I hope you'll stay tuned. We're starting with Facebook because that's the platform we know. And then we're going to go from there. And hopefully, I'm in the States right now. We're still in the virus mode. The borders are still closed. So I'm hoping that in a few months, probably by the end of the summer, I can get back to Moscow, and then I can actually get out to Perm, because I think it'll be super interesting to see us together side by side. Not through, like, the technology is great, but it would be great for us to be together as I embark on my own journey. So Dr. Nadia, thank you for your time today. Thank you for squeezing this in, even though it's great for the clinic, but it's a lot of mental work for you. And I appreciate your patience and that you keep coming back. And I just appreciate everything. So thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
And thank you, Danielle. Thank you. Bye.
Well, you have a good day, and viewers, we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Have a good day too.
Thank you.